There is no doubt that E3 is the granddaddy of them all when it comes to video game conferences, but Gamescom, Paris Games Week, and Tokyo Game Show, just to name a few, are other international conferences that do gain a pretty respectable local audience. And in order to build a brand like Xbox or PlayStation, you really need to get your name out there, not just here in the good old United States of America, but around the world. So the fact that Microsoft continues to support Gamescom is a great decision. And it helps their brand, and it also helps fans like me stay connected with them throughout the year. That said, Gamescom last year, 2018, was a complete disaster. It was a complete rehashing of everything they showed at E3 just a couple months prior, and it was really frowned upon by a lot of people in the community. Thankfully, Xbox went back to the drawing board and decided that this year they were going to do things a little bit differently. Now, you're not going to get the smoke and mirrors and oohs and ahs like you do at E3. Gamescom is a different animal. It's a smaller stage, it's a more intimate setting, and unlike other conferences, Xbox announced to you everything they're going to do. We're going to talk about these particular games. We're going to show trailers for this. We're going to have this announcement, It's not like E3 where it's what's next and everybody's guessing at what the next trailer is going to be. Gamescom, it's very structured, and you could argue that it's not as exciting. However, I think the news was pretty good, and I'm happy that Xbox showed up, and I'm happy that they actually had some things to show off and some new things that we really didn't see coming. So I'm not going to go line by line for the entire show because you should just watch it yourself if you're interested. But it ran about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 40 minutes in length, and it covered a lot of things. We got to see new DLC for Metro Exodus. We got to see the big Gears 5 Horde Mode trailer. We got to see some new levels coming up in Human Fall Flat. We also saw a slew of Game Pass announcements, which I just did a video on. I'm sure you saw it earlier. So they had a pretty good showing of things. That said, you know, is the hype and the drama there like you see at an E3? No, of course not. You're not going to get that here. I was happy to see that Microsoft continued to support both the smaller indie games and their big titles, giving games like The Surge, which by no means is an indie game, but The Surge 2 got about a 5-minute walkthrough of what to expect, and it does look really, really good. So the fact that Microsoft continues to reach out to third-party partners and bring them onto the stage to show off their stuff, I think is a great move for Microsoft, and it appears to be paying dividends. The fact that you're getting a game like Devil May Cry, which came out about 5 months ago, bringing that over to Game Pass, taking Blair Witch, an indie game, bringing that day and date to Game Pass, are just examples of things that Microsoft is earning, in a sense, from their industry partners by giving them this time and by working with them. So I think it's a great idea, and I think that Inside Xbox this year really did a pretty good job. Could it have done better? Absolutely. Were there boring things in the show? Absolutely. But it seemed like that they were genuinely excited to be there. The one thing that really struck me odd, though, and the real criticism, is that they spent a really large portion of time talking about XO19, which will take place later this year in London. There's a lot of people who flew over to watch Gamescom, okay? A lot of press people, a lot of fans, at least from what I've seen on social media. The worst thing you could do is have everybody fly potentially halfway around the world to then say, you know what, this event isn't as great as the next event's going to be. Sorry, your princess is in another castle. And I think that that was a major, major misstep on their part. Minor criticism, maybe, but you know what? You should own it. The fact that you, Microsoft, went out to Gamescom and PlayStation didn't show up. And while Nintendo did do an Indies video, they're not there in person. They don't have game stations set up. They don't have their developers there talking and mingling with the fans. You should own the fact that you're there. Don't just start talking about the next event and the next event. Own the moment now and take command of Gamescom and say, this is our event. This is what we're doing. And I think that that was a major, major misstep on their part. And I'm curious to see if in the future they learn from that mistake, because I can guarantee you there will definitely be some backlash on that in the social media world. But despite that, everything else I thought was really well done and really well put together. We got to see tons of news on Gears. We got to see a deep dive into Horde mode, some gameplay, some of the, like a burner trailer showing off the new abilities. They had interviews with the development team. Then they sat on stage and talked with the development team. This is definitely the years of Gears. Year of Gears. I mean, they actually said that on stage. This is definitely the year of Gears. You're absolutely right, it is. This game has dominated the world, and I'd be very curious to see just how well it is received. I suspect it's going to do well, but they continue to double, triple, quadruple down on everything Gears. We now have accessories, we have controllers, we have consoles. I did a video about all that as well, in case you didn't get a chance to see it. But you know what? The fact that they closed it out on that game, great idea. Spend a lot of time talking about it. Rod Ferguson was there in person. I'm sure he's going to be making the rounds, talking about the game. He's going to be on with Jeff Keighley a little bit later in the day to talk about the single-player mode. I don't know if I'll do any more videos on Gears. It seems like I've talked about it enough. I'm sure when the game comes out, I'll have plenty more to say about it then. But I'd like to close out this video by saying that I think Inside Xbox was a great show. I think they did a phenomenal job, and I am happy that I got to watch and participate and get some free Mixer goodies. I think we're getting some Gears Pop stuff this time around, so I'm sure I'll have more to talk about all of the Gears stuff later on, as I mentioned. With that, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.